to episode 8 already of this season for QPR Preview Shows. A tough week of fixtures once again coming up. We have obviously beaten playoff finalists Coventry, and then it's fresh from relegation from the Premier League, it's Leeds. We'll preview those two matches shortly, but first, let's have a look back to Friday night. The 0-0 draw at Birmingham. We had chances, they had chances, but in the end, I think a tale of two goalkeepers. A fair result, wasn't it, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Fair result, really. At the end, we both had, like I say, both had our chances. I thought we played pretty well. We had spells in the game where we looked quite good on the ball, and we created a few chances. Just the final pass and the final shot is just not there yet, is it? We lack a bit of quality in that area. Really disappointed with our set pieces as well. We had quite a few corners second half, and they were all so poor. It didn't seem to matter who took them either. They were poor again, and we need to make the most of them sort of things. But I just say Begovic played well. I thought we defended well throughout. Really put our bodies on the line at times. It was good to see that. Yeah, better than Birmingham away last year anyway.
Yeah, it would have been harsh, I thought, on either side. Even if we'd scored, it would have been harsh on Birmingham to lose if they'd scored likewise. We kept having little spells, didn't we? But it was never sustained threat across the 90 minutes. And I think that's probably our problem at the moment, like you touched on. We're probably going to come on to it a bit later, actually, with some stats about our lack of goals that are coming. And talking of goals, but at the other end, we all like to revel in the best goals we've ever seen. But have you ever seen a better clearance off the line than the one from Samfield? Must be up there.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. When it looped over Begovic, you just thought that's a goal all day long. He's never going to get there, but it was incredible to get it from there. And when they showed it on the TV with the goal line technology, how close it was, yeah, that was phenomenal. I don't think he'll ever be able to do it again, but it was really good.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And I thought he was just going to referee was just going to look at his watch and say it was a goal because Field ended up so far in the net. But yeah, unbelievable. And it wasn't the only time in the game that we had bodies on the line, was it? There was another time where there was 3 blocks in a row in the first half. And I think that's the one area where even Ainsworth's biggest critics are going to have to admit he's improved us, because compared to last season, this is really a QPR side now where the players are leaving everything out there, as he calls it. Last season, he was saying it, but they weren't. Now they really are. They're fighting for the badge, aren't they?
They definitely are. You can see it with these blocks they're putting in and just the work rate they're putting in. Even going back to the Swansea game the other week, weren't at their best, but they just kept going and kept fighting for the shirt. They weren't doing that last year. Last season, you go a goal behind, usually in the first 5 minutes, and you might as well go home. But it has been a lot better this year. I thought that was evident that Birmingham game, because they did have a few. They got some good positions like we did. But we were always there to stop it. I thought Cook was excellent last week. It was one of his best games for us so far.
Yeah, Cook was up there for man of the match, wasn't he, with Field? I think Field got it just because of that clearance that we're talking about, but he did cover every blade of grass, to be fair. But yeah, Cook, he's probably our best signing for me. I'm really impressed with him. And we're going to need all those qualities we're talking about for these two matches this week. Coventry up first, that we'll preview. Now, we lost both matches to Coventry last season without scoring, but this looks like a very different Coventry side from those games. They've lost some big players like Gyökeres, Gustavo Hamer, and they've spent big to replace them as well. They've actually brought in 6 players who cost at least £2 million each. But the league table suggests they haven't settled yet, because on paper, this is 18th versus 19th. 2 sides on 8 points from 8 games. But for me, I expect this to be a real test. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, they got a bit of a hangover from the playoffs last year, but that's to be expected, really. I think they've kind of done what we always talk about we want to do. They've got some good players in, they've sold them for big money, and they've reinvested, and they've been able to spend a little bit more this year because of that big money they brought in. I think on paper, I think they look better than their league position. I mean, they've drawn a lot of games so far, aren't they? So I don't think, they're not exactly struggling. They're probably just not quite at their best yet. They've got a few injuries, not taking their chances, but potentially a good time to play them then, really, if they're like that before they hit form. I think they're going to get better as the season wears on. But given our home form, it's hard to see us beating anyone at home at the minute. So it's going to be a difficult one.
Yeah, we're going to try and not dwell on the home record too much. But obviously, if anyone doesn't know, it's 1 win in 19 home games now, going back to last October. You're right about Coventry. It's just too many draws. But my thoughts exactly with them. Once they start turning those draws into wins, I expect they're going to fly up the table. Ellis Sims from Everton looks an excellent signing. He was at Sunderland last year and looked good there. Gordon up front has taken over from Gyökeres, really. He's got 6 goals already. they're going to be formidable partnership once they start gelling together. And Mark Robbins, for me, is one of the best managers at this level. And they recovered, don't forget, from an even worse start last season and ended up just missing out on promotion. So would you expect them to be around the top 6 again once it all settles down?
I would have thought so once they settle down. It's still very early, isn't it? But I think it's a good sign for them. They're not losing many games. They're obviously close to being back to where they were last year. I think they'll pick up and be around the playoffs again this year. We thought the division would probably be taken up just by these relegated teams that run away with it. It doesn't maybe look like that's going to be the case now.
No.
So they've got a decent chance this year.
Yeah, I'd like to see them do well. They're a good team. And I do like the manager, like I say. From a QPR perspective, it was another clean sheet, at least away from home last week. Do you think that means he can't change any of the defenders now? Because I've seen some calls for Clark Salter to come in or for Fox or Kakai to drop out. Where do you stand? Can he change a settled defence?
I'd like to see Clark Salter come in for this one, mainly because you're going to have to be on the front foot a bit more at home than you are away. So I think Clark Salter, with his passing ability, might be useful for this sort of game, and it's against his old club, so you never know, that might inspire him a little bit. But yeah, I'd probably change element. I think I'd keep Kakai in. He's been okay so far. I think the problem he's got on that side is that Smith's playing as a wing back, which works going forward, but as good as he is going forward, he's not a defender, Smith, is he? And Kakai's getting exposed a little bit there. I think that might change with the new signing, but I doubt he's ready yet.
No, I think Reggie can. He's going to be a bit like Jack Cole back when he joined. It'll be a few weeks of him with that Ben Williams guy before he's allowed to get involved. Yeah. I personally wouldn't change the defence, and I don't think Ainsworth will, only because if he changes it and then we let in 3 goals or something like that, he's going to be in for Pelter. So I think he'll probably keep it for Coventry and then maybe change it for Leeds, depending how it goes against Coventry. So I guess the other main team selection question is the same question as last week. Is it Dykes and Armstrong or Dykes and Willett?
I'd probably go Dykes and Armstrong again. I think they've done okay together. They've only started 2 games together this year, and they've done pretty well in those. I think at home you've got to play on the front foot, and it helps to have those 2 up front. They can cause teams problems. I do want to see a bit more of Willock in starting games, but I think maybe for this one, starting with 2 up front, they really need a win at home because the home form isn't good, is it? Like I keep saying, I'd probably start with those 2.
Yeah, I'd probably actually like to see a team with Armstrong, Dykes, Chair, and Willock, but I don't know what formation he'd do to get all them in. But that would probably be our best attacking team if he could somehow get them in, and Smith as well. But again, don't know how you'd work that out. Something I wanted to bring up this week is set pieces, because it was infuriating me last week. We had so many corners doing absolutely nothing with them. Is it just me who thinks we've been woeful from set pieces so far?
Yeah, all season we have. And we just, amount of times we hit the first man with them. We had one against, I think it was in the Swansea game, where we had everyone up and we needed a goal, and they hit the corner low and it was just easily cleared. And it doesn't, like I said before, it doesn't seem to matter who takes them. It's not just Chair taking poor corners. Powell's corners haven't been very good. Colback's taking a few, haven't been that great. I don't know. I thought that would be one of the things that we'd be good at when Ainsworth come in. I thought they'd really work on set pieces, and they were quite well known for it at Wycombe for being quite creative with their set pieces. But we haven't even looked like scoring from set pieces this year, but and like we keep saying, we haven't got a lot of goals in the team. It's an area we've got to try and make the most of, because we're not scoring many from open play. We need to start converting a few of these.
Yeah, totally agree. It's one of the things that I expected. Agree with you. Gareth Ainsworth, I thought his team would excel in that area, especially coming into this season once he'd maybe worked on some things throughout the summer. It just isn't happening. And like you said as well, we don't even look close. It's not like we're having headers just past the post or anything. It doesn't. The ball's literally doesn't even feel like it's getting near any of our players. And it's only 7 goals in 8 games. It is our Achilles heel, the goal scoring. We're 23rd in the goal scoring charts. Only one team scored less than us. And we were asked in the comments last week to look at the XG stats for the on-screen graphics, which we've added this week. But I know some people think XG is nonsense, but the clubs use it. It's used for a lot of data in the game now. And it shows that we're bottom 3 for expected goals, but also bottom 3 for expected goals against. Now, if that carries on, for all the positives we're trying to find, we're going to continue to struggle this season, aren't we?
Definitely. It's just we don't create that many chances in a game. It's not as though we're having 5-6 chances and we're unlucky when we don't score. The forwards are getting 1, maybe 2 at most chances, and they're not that prolific that they're going to score every chance they get, so they're going to miss some. So we need to be a bit better, and I'm not sure how he changes it, because he wants obviously a solid base, because we saw when we opened up last year and against Watford when we played quite an open system, what happens to us? It doesn't end well for us. It's hard to get that balance and try and get these creative players in the team. I agree with what you said before. I'd love to see Chair, Willock, Smith, Armstrong and Dykes all playing, but how do you fit them all in and not be wide open and get hammered? It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Maybe you'll have to just try it at some point in one of the home games, and if we're still not winning at home, and just go hell for leather, see what happens. And despite everything I just said there about the XG, I actually feel like it's a strange one, because we're 19th in the table. I actually feel we've been all right so far this season in the majority of the games, and yet we are still only 19th, and that's the concern, isn't it? Because we've actually played all right. If we have a lull now where we don't perform well, and we've got some tough fixtures this week and beyond, it could easily then become 6, 7, 8 games where you haven't won, and it's hard to get out of those ruts for QPR, isn't it? So fingers crossed it doesn't happen. Another talking point that's come up is the team photo this season doesn't have Taylor Richards in it. What do you read into that?
Well, he's clearly not fancied at the minute, is he? I mean, I thought it was quite telling at the fans forum when that come up about Taylor Richards, that they were like instantly Mick Beale's fault, completely blamed on one person that's not here anymore. It's just been a poor signing, hasn't it? I feel sorry for the lad, because he's got ability, but they've spent too much on him. I mean, if Brighton are willing to sell a young player, you should probably think about it, because Brighton don't get rid of their players on the cheap, do they? It's just not worked, and I'm not overly surprised he's not in the team photo, because I think Ainsworth wants to send him a message that you've got to work to get in this team, and that's kind of maybe something along the lines of it. But yes, that's not looking a good deal at the minute, is it?
No, and it's not like it was only a limited players in that picture either. There was the likes of Pedder, Ahora, etc. in that picture. He should have been there if he's involved, and it was telling that he wasn't. And it almost feels to me like his QPR career is now hinging on that moment at Oxford where he jumped out of the challenge, and since then Ainsworth's just been like, no, you're not for me, hasn't it? But we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed for QPR's perspective that he can find his mojo again, because it's costly if it isn't, because he's on a big deal as well. Midweek, it'll be away to Leeds. We'll have a quick look at that one. Now, against Leeds, we've won 3 of the last 4, but I don't think that counts for anything. And they're a tough nut to crack so far this season. They've drawn half the games, but they are starting to find their feet for sure. Unbeaten in the last 6. They've not even conceded in the last 4. And they pretty much battered Watford last weekend. They had 10 shots on target compared to 1 for Watford. That moved them into the top 6. And I can't see them dropping out again. Can you, Dave?
No, I think they've found their feet now, and they look pretty good. They've got a strong side. Like all the 3 of them that have come down, they should be up there. They should be there or thereabouts this year. And yeah, I agree with you. I don't see them dropping out of the playoffs too often this season. I think they'll be difficult. That just looks like one of them bonus games for us. You need to try and get something on Saturday, and then if they can nick a point up there, great. But I wouldn't expect much at Leeds, to be honest.
No, it's a cliche when we say that, but it is kind of true in this case, isn't it? And I mentioned the XG before. Well, Leeds are the best XG for expected goals against, so they're not conceding, like I say. And it's simply the type of game you think where we cannot go behind. It's very, very hard to see us getting anything if we do that. Would you expect Cole back to return? His suspension will be up after Coventry. Maybe play with a tighter midfield to try and get the point, like you say, just keep it tight.
Yeah, I think he will. He'll keep it tight. I think he'll play the 2 up front on Saturday, and then maybe go 1 up front there and bring Cole back in. Try and make us hard to beat. The plan will be, as has been for all the away games, just stay in the game as long as you can. Don't concede that first goal. If you go a goal behind, we're in trouble. The longer you stay in the game, the better the chance you got, and then you can maybe bring on a Dykes or Armstrong and have a go second half. But I would have thought Cole will come back in next week.
Yeah, I think he might bring Cole back in, like you say, and it'll be Armstrong. I think he might drop out with the intention, like you said, stay in the game, get Armstrong on for half an hour at the end, see what we can get. We've got to call Leeds out as well on the £45 tickets. Totally embarrassing. I don't believe any football match at any level should cost £45. Never mind a Wednesday night match in the 2nd tier. They should be ashamed, really, to have those prices. What are they thinking?
It's disgusting. How can anyone afford to pay that? You think? I mean, they wouldn't have known when they put the tickets up for sale. There's a train strike next Wednesday, so everyone's gonna have a nightmare going up there from London. The cost of it, the cost of hotels and everything, and 45 quid for your match ticket. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I don't think I'd pay that in the Premier League, let alone the Championship. I hope people just don't pay and don't go. Might end up being like an away end with about 50 people in, but good. Don't give them the money. It's an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, it's going to take clubs getting together, I think, and doing something like that to send the message, isn't it? Where no one bothers to turn up. I just don't understand it. Surely they'd get more fans if it was £25 if you worked it out. I don't know. The clubs just baffle me sometimes. I don't expect it to be a large QPR following, and rightly so. Let's move on to prediction time. Can we get that elusive home win? And what do you expect from the trip to Leeds? 6 points on offer. What are we getting this week?
Yeah, I don't see us getting much at Leeds, to be honest. But I mean, law of averages says we've got to win a home game eventually, and so I'm hoping for a home win this week. So I'll go hopefully 3 points this week. I say I don't fancy us to get much at Leeds, but it's a tough game Saturday against Coventry, but I think we can win it.
Yeah, I'd be happy to beat Coventry and lose to Leeds. As long as we get that home win, like you say, get rid of that unwanted record. We've got to do that at some point. But I suspect we may be sat here in a week's time talking about us being either pointless or maybe only getting 1 point, because Coventry, and as much as it's the match we've got to target, they're drawing every week. They're not losing games, so it's going to be tough. I hope I'm wrong, but I am top of our prediction league at the moment, so I'm probably going to be right. Thank you anyway, everybody, for watching as always. We'll be back next week. It's the final show already before another international break. We'll be facing Blackburn. Hopefully that's not a home match that we're trying to target for our first home win by then. We'll continue to preview that one. And of course, as always, come on, yours.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.